Hi viewers, I welcome you all to this programming world channel. So in this video tutorial, I will discuss about the role of static member in Java programming. So what is the exact meaning of having the static member in Java programming? We'll discuss now. But already we have discussed what is the meaning of static in the Java introduction video. Okay. So if you have any doubt on that, you people have to see that video also to learn about it. Okay, right, I come to the point. So here you can find static member and also static method. So static member, that means it is what an attribute. Okay, member in the sense what a property or an attribute of the object of the class. So here the static member. So when you declare a property or attribute as a static one, that will be shared by the objects of the same class. So whatever objects we created for the same class, so those can share the same property. So that's the meaning. So actually if you take object properties, so that means actually the objects can have unique values. So objects to objects, the property may be same, but their values will be different. But whereas when it comes to what static attribute, this attribute is what shared one. So what happen is the value whenever it gets updated, that will be reflected to all objects of the same class. And how we can access a static member in the sense. So the static member can be accessed by using only the static method. So in the static method, you can update the values of a static member and how we can call the static member and also the static method. So how to execute them in the sense with the help of class name only. Okay, so we cannot have objects to access the static members or methods. So only by using the scope of the class name we can access the static member or method outside of the class. So here you can see a small visual representation about so the meaning of what the static member and also the objects which are which those are share the same static member. So whenever the object one updates a value of static member, that automatically reflected to object the remaining objects like object 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that is the exact meaning of what having the static member in our programming. So here you can see a small syntax. So it is a very simple one. So if you want to create a static attribute, then you have to use a keyword static before the property declaration. So static and then data type. So what is the exact data type of the particular attribute? Then you have to provide the attribute name. And as I said, the attribute can be, I mean, static attribute can be accessed only the static method. So you can use public static void method. Okay, so within that you can give the code which can update the static member. Okay, and how we can access the static member or method outside of the class. So here you can see one application class. So within that, I have given the syntax how we can access the static member and also static method. So you have to use what the class name dot static member and if you want to access a method, then you have to go with what class name dot static method. So like that, you have to use in your code to access a static member and also static method. So static member wise, you have to give some value, you have to update some value, or you have to provide some value to the static member. So I have made a simple example to understand the concept of this. So here you can see I have made a class that is what student, and we can create the student objects, and objects can have the properties like student name and also the register number. Okay, so whatever objects are we are creating, and I want to know about the number of students objects are created. So whenever object gets created, automatically it is enrolled. Okay, the student enroll into what the system. So automatically the number of students get increased by one. So the number of students it is what actually represent initially 0. Okay, so whenever we create the objects for the same class, that will be incremented by 1. So here you can see that I have made a constructor. So within that I call the static method here. So inside of the class, no need to use a class name to call because it is in the same class only. So increase student. So here we have a static method. So that method will be used to what increase the number of students. So when you create one object, automatically the constructor will be called. So by using this static method call, what happen is the number of students will be incremented by 1. Okay, and if you want to take the static method, static member value outside of the method, so you can have a static method like return number of students and return number of students. So this variable will be, static variable will be written as a result. Okay, so the rest of the methods, that's about what, get input and also how you can provide the result on the screen. I mean, displaying the student name and also register number if it is required. Okay, but in my main demo class, I have created a main method. Okay, there I created the object like S1 and also S2. So whenever you see the objects get created, you see after creating the S1 object, here you can see the S1 object is created by using the constructor like new is equal to student. So automatically the constructor will be called. So student, that constructor will be called. So due to that, the static method will be executed. So because of that, the number of student static member will be increased by 1. So after this execution, you can see the number of students, it is what actually 1. Okay, and I create one more object S2. So using the same constructor, what happen is that is also going to execute this static method. So now it is going to increase this value, right? So when you created the object 1, so that time the number of students will become 1. So now you going to create the object 2. So due to that, the number of students will be what, incremented by 1. So now it is 2. Okay, that's the meaning actually here. Okay, for understanding purpose, you see I take one more output statement here. Okay, so in this output statement, I have called what, the static member outside of the class, because here these attributes are what actually in default access specifier. In C++, if you not give any access specifier, what it means, it becomes private. But whereas in Java, it is what actually default access specifier. So these attributes can be accessed only within this code. Okay, so only within this code you can able to access. That means what, this class can access this class, student also can access, and also this demo class also can able to access. Why? Because these two classes in the same package, I mean same folder or same directory, I mean same package. So it is in, so this is what actually default access specifier. So I try to use that what a student dot, I mean the class name dot number students here. So the static member will be accessed. So what happen is the number of objects which is created, that will be displayed here. You can see that now. So number of students, like that I'm modifying that. So number of students. So after creation of first object, you will get number of students as what, 1, and after creation of S2, you will get the number of students as what, 2. So now I just execute that. You can see what happens. Yes, compilation started and executed. Now it is asking student name, so I'm giving some student name. Okay, Michael. Then Mitchell. Then register number like 2, 3, 4, like that. I have made it. Then you see after creation of that object, the number of students is what actually 1. So it is from where this output statement, because we calling what, the static member by using the class name, not object. We're not using like S1 dot number of students. We using what the class name to execute that, to call that member value. And as it is, you see now it is asking about another student name. So listen, like that I'm using, and then uh, uh, register number something I'm giving. You see now it is what, number of students is what, 2. Okay, so that is from actually from where, from here. Okay, so number of students 2. Okay, so here what I have used, I call the static method by using the class name. So here I call what, the static member here by using a class name, and here I have used a static method to call the value of that static member. Okay, but actually please understand here, the static member method only can access the static values. Okay, you can take the values outside of that, and here also you can initialize the values. Okay, because what, in the sense, this main method actually what, static method. Okay, so due to that, that can be accepted 1. Okay, but actually this static member, it is what outside of the this static member, it is what, it is in default access specifier mode. That's why by using the class name, we have access outside of the that class. Okay, so these are the difference you have to understand in this. So simply you have to understand one main theme, that is what, static member can be shared by all the objects of the same class. So if you want to know the number of objects created for a class whenever the objects are created, for an example, you see you creating the server objects for interacting with the many clients. So you want to know what about the number of objects created, and also due to that you can identify the memory and also the CPU executions like that. So in such cases, you can go with what the static member that can give you. So what about the number of objects created for the server class, which those are what communicating with the different client nodes. Okay, so for the case you can use the static member, and when you go with the static member, the static method it is what coming to the role to access the values of static members. So static method which is required to you update the values of static member. Okay, I hope you people understand about the meaning of static member and also static method, how we can use it in our Java programming, and what is where we can use this kind of programming element to implement our solutions. Thank you for watching this. If any of the new viewers seeing this in the sense, please I request you to subscribe this channel, and also please uh, follow this channel for new updates which can help you to improve your programming skills, and also you can able to get the placement, and if you want you can be a entrepreneur also by doing freelancer jobs. Thank you for watching this. Thank you.